Hello students, hope you're doing well. Today we are discussing about the topic advertising. Advertising. This is the part 1 of the class. Today's class we will discuss about the introduction part. We will discuss about what is advertising and the definition, need for advertising and evolution of advertising evolution, advertising, objectives of advertising, then advantages and limitations of advertising, advantages and limitations of advertisings. Okay, so let's get started from the introduction part. What is advertising or like that? Okay, let's get started. What is advertising? Advertising is considered as a creative commercial message, right? Creative commercial message aimed at selling services or products. We want to sell or service something. Okay, that is the advertising, selling or service of the products. It can also be used to increase sales or publicize social messages, and it is the lifeblood of media for their survival also. At the same time, there is a general belief that advertising is a waste of time, money, and resources. Do you think that? Audiences of different mass media would generally prefer freedom from advertising, but as students of advertising, you must learn to like advertising, just as shown in some Indian films. Watch these ads closely, connect with the ad characters, jingle, slogan, advertising locations. Okay, when you are doing this, you connect with the brand emotionally, start loving it, and build a long lasting relationship. Adore the brands you purchase and feel nostalgic. So, advertising is actually it's a creative commercial message. Okay, so what does advertising or what is the definition of advertising? One of the common definitions of advertising concerns, you already know, you already studied in a degree or your PG levels, that is like any uh, any paid form of any paid form of non-personal communication of information, any paid form of non-personal communication of information about products about products or ideas by an identified sponsor through what? Through the media. Through the media in an effort in an effort to persuade or influence behavior of the people behavior of the people in such a manner as to induce them to buy. Okay, induce them to buy. So this is the definition of an advertising. It is the any paid form of non it is a paid form, any paid form of non-personal communication of information about what? About products or ideas by an identified sponsor. Okay, identified sponsor through the media in which to persuade or influence behavior of the people in such a manner as to induce them to buy. So in spite of so many other forms of promotion, why do we need advertising? Production is incomplete without consumption. Customers will consume only when they are aware of the availability of the product in the market. This gap between production and consumption is filled by advertising. Okay, so the gap between the production and consumption, that is advertising. Okay, through advertisements manufacturers draw consumer attention towards their product. So let's discuss about the evolution of advertising. Evolution. You can trace the evolution of advertising in India in like a timeline. Okay, you just note down. First, 1718, James Augustus Hickey started Hickey's Bengal Gazette. You already know Hickey's Bengal Gazette is the first newspaper to be published from India, right? Bengal Gazette, James Augustus Hickey. It advertised trade and legal notices. With this print advertising started, it began with classified advertising. In 1883, Horlicks became the first brand, okay? Horlicks became the first brand to be patented as malted milk, okay? So Horlicks was the first brand to be patented as malted milk. Then 1605, B. Dattaram and Co. started its operations in Mumbai is the oldest ad agency. Then 1618, Tata Publicity. Tata Publicity, first professionally managed ad agency, was started. Then 2 years after, 1620, foreign owned ad agencies entered. So foreign agencies are also entered into our Indian market. Okay. After that, 1629, James Walter Thompson ad agency started its India operations. I will send you the notes, so don't worry. 1639, Indian and Eastern Newspaper Society, that is IENS, were founded. Indian and Eastern Newspaper Society were founded. Linda's advertising agency was started and they launched Dalda. Dalda, the first major example of branding. And after 1645, Advertising Agencies Association of India, that is AAI, was started. Next, 1648, Audit Bureau of Circulation, that ABC, founded. Then 1652, Indian Society of Advertisers founded. Indian Societies of Advertisers found. Then 55, that is 1655, Advertisers Club of Bombay, ACB, was set up, and 1659, telecasting of TV programs commenced, and 1667, first commercial was aired on Vivid Bharati. First commercial aired, okay, on Vivid Bharati. It's an all India radio channel. And 1670, sponsored programs on radio were introduced. Sponsored programs. Okay. Then 1676, Doordarshan was separated from All India Radio, and the first TV commercial seen in 1676. Okay, first commercial TV. Okay, then 1682, Bombay dyeing becomes the first color TV. Bombay dyeing. Okay, dye. It is the first color TV ad. Color TV ad is Bombay dyeing, and 1685 Advertising Standards Council of India ASCI was set up. So this is the evolution path of the advertising. So after this only the 1780 and 1883 is come into force, that is 1780, that is James Augustus Hickey, and 1883 the Horlicks becomes the first brand to be patented as malted milk. Okay, let's discuss about the difference between the advertising, publicity and propaganda. What is advertising, or what are the similarities and differences among three of them? So let's have a look at um, advertising, publicity and propaganda. Okay, advertising, publicity and propaganda. Advertising giving information about a company or its products by non-personal means. Okay, so advertising giving information about the company or the product or the services. But publicity is, this is non publicity is personal, giving information about a company or its products by personal and or non-personal means. Okay, or non-personal means. Propaganda majorly used as a form of political warfare. Political warfare, like a campaign or like that. Or advertising is always a commercial transaction, commercial transaction, and it encourages sales of products, services or ideas. And in case of publicity, it is not be a commercial transaction. Okay, it's not be a commercial transaction. And in propaganda, it's not be a commercial transaction, and it encourages change of personal belief and values. Okay, personal belief and value changes. Personal belief and value changes. Next, source is always known. Here, the source is always known, but in publicity, the source is may not be always known. May not, there is no chance, may not be always known. Okay, but in the case of propaganda, it's like advertising, source is always known. Source is always known. And advertising is a paid form. But in the case of publicity, it may not be always paid for. It is paid form, but not always paid for. Here also, this is not always, not be always paid for. Okay. All advertising is publicity. എല്ലാ advertisingum publicity ആണ്. All advertising is publicity, but in the case of publicity, all publicity may not be advertising and all advertising may not be propaganda. Okay, here all advertising is publicity. All advertising is publicity. Here all publicity may not be advertising, may not be advertising, and all advertising may not be propaganda. Okay, then let's discuss about the objectives of advertising. What are the objectives or aims of the advertising? Let's look at the purpose of advertising. Objectives of advertising can be classified broadly into two types, namely general objectives and specific objectives. Okay, general objectives and specific objectives. In the case of general objectives, it is to inform, to persuade, and to remind. But in specific, induce trial, intensify usage, intensify intensify usage, sustain preference, sustain preference, sustain preference, and confirm image, confirm image, change habits, change habits, build line of acceptance, build line of acceptance. Okay. The general objectives are to inform, to persuade, remind. To inform means it's done to build primary demand and inform about new product availability. Okay. To persuade is the objective is to build demand for a particular brand. For example, Vodafone. Okay. To established products advertised to remind customers. They need to remind customers about their brand because for example Coca-Cola, they always need to remind the people to buy that. Okay, and here the pursuer to build a demand, and in the case of to inform, just an information, that is for example SBI, State Bank of India. Okay, specific objectives are induced trial, that is advertisers use it to encourage the customer to try the new product. That is encouragement. Okay, encouragement. Otherwise, intensify usage, it is done to get another customer segment to try the product. Okay, sustained preference is established brands advertise to maintain their market share. They want to maintain their share, and the change habits are, it is used to change the buying or consumption pattern of the target customers. And in the case of build line of acceptance, it is used to display the entire range of brands. Okay, so here we discussed about the objectives and objectives of the advertising, that is general and specific objectives. Okay, now let's discuss about the advantages and limitations of advertising. Advertising indeed is undoubtedly inseparable part of marketing process. So let's look at what benefits it has for manufacturers and consumers. The pros of advertising for the manufacturer are: pros, it creates primary demand for the brands and hence results in increased sales. Okay, here the primary demand is increasing. Primary demand. Okay, it creates the demand. Okay, and after the initial sales, continuous advertising will further ensure a steady demand for the product. Steady demand for the product. Okay, there is a steady demand for the product. Okay, then the demand will be increased. Increased demand will ensure steady sales resulting in quicker turnover. If the brand is being advertised steadily, then over the years it will generate consumer goodwill for the demand. Consumer goodwill for the brand. Okay. Over the years, manufacturers can sell the goods directly to the consumer, and reduced dependence on middlemen will increase the profit as the commission given to these middlemen is saved. And advertising will help salespersons in their sales process because it makes the brand known to maximum number of target consumers. Okay. The limitations are advertisements can only pull consumers towards initial sale. Okay. If the products are of bad quality, then advertising cannot guarantee sales the second time. Okay, so here this is the limitation. Advertisement can only pull consumers towards initial sale, but if the products are of bad quality, then the advertising will be failed. Okay, the next limitation is advertising can only persuade consumers and not compel them to buy. Okay, they can't compel them. It's a one-way communication. It's a one-way communication, and as a result doesn't leave any scope for consumers to give feedback or not. And exaggerated form of advertising makes the advertisement less believable. Okay, so now we discussed about the advertising, what is advertising and the objectives of advertising, and the pro and limitations of advertising. Okay, in our next class we will discuss about the media used for advertising, that is print media, television, radio, online advertising, outdoor advertising, and other types of advertising. Okay, and we will discuss about the advertising techniques. Okay, thank you.